We're here. It's time for another episode back for Adventures in Business Live. Mandy, how are we doing today?
Amani, it's
Yes.
Gratitude Attitude Month. It's November. Lots to be thankful
Oh,
for.
I didn't know that's what November is. Gratitude. Explain
I,
that.
ca- I call it that. I don't think it's official. I think it's just a Mandyism. But I don't know. I just feel like Thanksgiving is a time of gratitude. And, I've got my
Yeah.
ceremony of the thorns I do the day before Thanksgiving. So I,
Oh, that's
I
right.
just try and start November with some gratitude, man. Like
Okay.
just being grateful is for me the way to be, the key to victory. So it's gratitude
Explain
attitude.
for people who might be new to our channel, new to our episodes, what is the thorn exercise, which I love.
The ceremony of the thorns. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So on Thanksgiving on Thursday, we are all drinking, eating, being merry, celebrating what we're thankful for. But on the day before Thanksgiving every year, on Wednesday, I do a ceremony of the thorns. Sometimes it's with my husband, sometimes it's by myself, sometimes it's with a collection of gal pals. And the thorns are the bad things that have happened to you throughout the year that you are equally grateful for, because you cannot get to the great unless you have some thorns. And so I just take some time. And so we take it outside and we have like a tree or a branch, and you just kind of like pull a little leaf off and say, here's one thorn, here's another thorn. You just tell the story, whatever it is. And then at the end of the story, you say why you're grateful for it. And then you throw the thorn like as far as you, or, the leaf as far as you can. So you're like, letting go of the bad and you're like bringing in the good. But that's the day before Thanksgiving every year.
Got it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have a thorns episode for the podcast.
Ooh, okay. Like a little mini. I think that's a good
Yeah.
idea. Well, I'll be in Northern California during that time frame with Scoot's family. So
But when you
I'll
get
have,
back, well, when
yeah,
you
no,
get
I'm
back,
saying
maybe.
it's a great time. They'll be very
Oh.
on theme for that.
Okay.
Anytime with your in-laws is a thorny
Whew.
theme.
Yes. Yes. Bless
Yeah.
your heart. Yes.
I want to hear about Halloween. Can we talk about Halloween? What did you do? Did you dress up? Did you DJ a gig? What did you
So
do?
I was DJing at the Durango Casino at Nico's for Halloween. And so I
Okay.
had bought candy, actually. I bought candy to give out before I went, but it was just, I had to leave before the kids, anyone came by. So I have all this candy here, a little bit. So I got
Get
to
rid
give
of
it
it.
away. But then there were people in the casino, like people came into the restaurant where I was DJing at and were like with their costumes. But once I left at like 11:30 or like midnight, it was like packed with all these different costumes. There was this one spot, because I know our guest is from Vegas. So I know there was this one spot down the way, Bel Air, inside the Durango. A line was around the corner with people in costumes trying to get in. $3,000 prize for the best costume.
Wow.
It was interesting. Lots of angels, shall we say? lots
Totally.
lots of naughty nurses, lots of those types of
Monty,
costumes.
you should have stayed for a date. You could have just hung out in line and handed out your card, your dating card, your QR
I had
code.
just DJed like 5 hours. I was done. I was ready to go to bed. But yeah, it
That's
was
good.
interesting. So that was my Halloween.
Aw, that's fun. I had, Halloween, we're not living at our house right now because of the renovation, but my neighbor across the street, I always go across the street to Kathy and Steve's house. They're as old as my parents. They're like second parents. And Kathy has this shtick where she collects all the to-go things throughout the year, like mayonnaise packets and soy sauce packets and like these crushed pepper packets. So when the kids come up, she hands them the bowl. And she's like, "Don't be shy. Would you like a mustard? Would you like some Cholula?" And she's like, "Don't be shy. Take as much as you want." And the kids are always so confused by this.
Yeah.
And then they're like tentatively like putting their hand in there. And then I'll be like, "Or do you want a Kit Kat?" And then I hand them the candy and they're all cheering. So this shtick we've been doing, we've been there for like 10 years. So she and I have had this like Halloween shtick for years. And now the kids are old enough that they remember it. They'll come up the driveway. They're like, "We're here for soy sauce." Like they
Okay.
like are
Okay.
totally
It's
good.
working.
So,
It's
like
working.
they started at like 4 or 5 and now
Yeah.
they're like in their preteens or it's super fun. So anyways,
It's
yeah, it's
working.
fun. And I always make chili. I made a different chili recipe this time. And so
Okay.
it was good to be in the it was good to be in my neighborhood since I
Yes.
don't
Yes.
live in
Yes.
my neighborhood right now. It's
Right.
just
But you'll
nice
be back soon.
community.
You'll
Yeah,
be
I'll
back
be back
soon.
soon.
Speaking
Yeah.
of food, why don't you
Yes.
tell us who our guest is today?
We have an awesome guest, Imani. I gotta
Yeah.
tell you, she's the winner of Martha Stewart and Jose Andres show. Yes, chef, like a recent winner, like hot off the presses winner. She's executive chef at Omni La Costa, which is where we met. She's worked in some of the best restaurants in the world. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a fellow raspy voiced lady friend. I want to welcome to the stage Chef Emily
Yes, yes,
Brubaker.
yes. Round of applause here. We got you a round of applause.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be on with you guys. This is awesome.
Well, we're honored to have you. I'm gonna let Mandy kind of start us off and lead the way, and then I got some good questions, so I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right. Thank you for being here, Chef Emily. It's so good to see you again. I want to tell a quick story of how we met because I didn't know I was going to meet you, and the way we met was amazing. So, for the audience, I had a client event at the Omni La Costa. They did a perfect job. It was the right place at the right time for a high end meeting like that. It was so awesome. And it's a sponsored event. So, throughout the year, I'm hustling sponsors and they're paying good money to be there. And I carry around my little clipboard. And after each thing, I want to make sure like we're taking care of the clients, we're taking care of the sponsors, taking care of the partners. So we had this great speaker. And after the speaker, I went up to our planner and I was like, "Hey, Alicia, after the first course, I'm just gonna, where's the microphone? I'm just gonna say a couple words for the sponsors." She's like, "I don't think that's a good idea." I was like, "What? Why is that not a good idea?" She's like, "Well, we have a surprise for all the guests, and we actually made it a surprise for you. We're having a Yes Chef dinner." I'm like, "What is a Yes Chef dinner?" And she said, the Chef Emily, is going to come out and explain each course, and it's going to be really interactive. I'm like, "Oh, that sounds amazing." Now, I've gone to, a number of like wine pairing dinners and these types of things. So, like, a chef coming out talking about their food is not, and I was just like, okay, it's just another chef talking about their food, whatever. Fine. I'm like, I'll talk, I'll announce the sponsors after the second course. And Alicia's like, "All right." Like, she still looked at me like, "Whatever, Mandy." So I sat down and out struts Chef Emily Brubaker. Okay. And it was like a beautiful night at Omni Costa. We're outside, the market lights, the tables were set. It was so beautiful. And here comes Emily, like telling her story, giving her background, talking about her inspirational moment. Like she pushed herself out of her comfort zone. She didn't know she can do this. She uprooted her family. She moved him to San Diego. And now she's on this reality TV show and she won. And everybody's just clapping and crying and cheering. And then she's explaining her food. So then immediately after she got done talking, I went up to our planner. I was like, Alicia, I'm not going to talk the rest of the night. Like this is the Emily show. I don't belong here. And what happened that night was so magical because Emily, you came out with every course, and not only did you explain the food, but you explained your personal attachment and your history to the food. And then you explained like what Martha liked or hated, or what Jose liked or what Jose hated. And it connected us to the food, but it connected us to each other so much so that like after the event, I don't know if you saw this or if you went home, people wouldn't leave. It was like after the dessert course, like people were still lingering like 30 minutes a night. The setup people wanted to clean up, but like everybody was so connected. You connected us so much. So just thank you for that. And I just wanted to make sure the audience knows just you're more than just a chef. Like you are a storyteller, an entertainer, and just a connector of humans. Just thank you. That was really awesome.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's kind of what we try to do. I think exactly what we want to happen with a meal, especially of the caliber of people who are there, is we want you to connect. Food brings us together. You know, we were just talking about Thanksgiving. You gather, you know, you have Friendsgiving, or you have your family's Thanksgiving, or maybe the next day, the next part of the family's Thanksgiving. We have big meals and beautiful food to bring people together. So it was such a pleasure to be part of that night. And what a great group. It really was. It was the right people, the right time. And I mean, my story is just my story, but I'm glad that it does connect with people.
It's totally connected. Was that your idea to do the Yes Chef, or did somebody bring that to you and say, hey, how about a Yes Chef dinner? How'd that go down?
So that actually came from Michelle, our director of sales and marketing. And she like right after I was on the show and I came back and kind of was like, hey, you know, this is going to be fun for us. Let's see what we can do with it. Once it aired that I won, she was like, we need to have a dinner to like introduce you to people and like have you explain your food. And we've done the dinner a few times with very specific groups that have come in, and we've let them compete against each other where I was judging. Most fun was we had them do a cocktail and a salad course, and the salad course was the actual salad course that we served. So we waited until it was done. We waited till the judging, and then we plated it. We had all the ingredients ready to be able to create and plate individually for the guests. So it's really fun to be able to do something like that. It's interactive, brings the food to you.
Oh, so awesome. So awesome.
Yeah. So whenever I meet a chef, I always have to ask them this question. So I'm going to ask you this. This will be how I'll start my long list of questions. But if you had to cook a meal and your life depended on it, what meal are you preparing?
I would make something that I would do for my family. So I was a butcher for a while. So showing the love to our proteins. I'm a big fan of slow and low. So smoker or braises is kind of my forte. So I probably would do either a brisket or short ribs. And then the components matter just as much. So for me, I like a really rich starch like potatoes, something that's either really crispy or buttery, and then fresh vegetables to go with it. Right now I'm like really into like roasting carrots. And then a full dish for me would be then like you need something acidic. So I really like to pickle fruit to go with something like that. And then always a crunch. So some kind of finish on that short rib to make it a dish. But the full meal would have to start way earlier. I do enjoy a progressive meal. So, you know, starting small with like an amuse, if you will, even if it's in my family, I'm like, here, try this bite. I do have children, so they're not interested in trying anything I do. But like, if my life depended on it, we're starting with a bite that makes your mouth water, moving on to either a soup or a salad that's flavorful and seasonal. I'm big on seasonality, originally from California. So we are the heart of agriculture for our country, or at least for produce. And then into the short rib, and then dessert has to be easy because I am not a baker and I am not a pastry chef. So most likely something I can cookies are a big thing for me. We do a lot of cookies with my kids. I've done them in all of my restaurants. We call it, it used to be Cookie Fridays or Cookie Saturdays, and they were for the staff more than the guest. So when you were having a really bad night, because in the food and beverage industry, you have bad nights. So we would have trays of cookies on like the speed racks in the back. And it was like, if you feel like you're going to go cry, go get a cookie. And it's like a hug. And it was like for our cooks, like we go in the walk-in and scream, but it's also like go eat a cookie, get that little mom love, and get back to work and just like reset. And I do that to my kids too. I'm like, do you need a cookie? Like, are you okay? And it's probably not the best treat to always shove in people's faces, but it is that warm hug that we all remember from our parents or our favorite bakery growing up. So that's kind of my meal.
I love it. I love it. Take us back to the time when you discovered and you really realized, I want to be a chef.
It took a while for me to realize I wanted to be a chef. I always wanted to be an artist. My whole life, I thought I would grow up to be like when I was a young person, a young kid, I thought I'd be a computer animator. And this was before computers got friendly. So, but I really wanted to do animation and I really wanted to get into that. And then realizing I couldn't sit at a computer my whole life, I went to UC Santa Cruz I originally went for computer science so I could become a programmer. And very, very quickly, my freshman year, I realized that's not what I want to do. And I wanted to do something that I could consider art in every form. And food just started to really speak to me. It brings us together, as I mentioned, and it just, you smell it, you taste it, you hear it, you touch it, you see it, you taste it. It's art in every sense possible. And that's what spoke to me. So I did finish my degree at UC Santa Cruz. I have a degree in psychology, which plays very nicely into what I do. And the whole time I was at UC Santa Cruz, I worked at a pizza shop. I was a server, I was a bartender, I was a driver. I would cook occasionally, and I saved every penny I ever made and paid for culinary school that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me keep thinking about the next ones. Manny, back to you.
I want to go back to the show. I want to ask a couple questions I think everybody probably wants to know. So, Martha Stewart, okay? We know that she didn't like your brownies, but she loved your scallops. She loved basically everything else that you made. What was it like interacting with Martha Stewart? And were you surprised? Were you not surprised? How was that experience?
So, Yes Chef was the second time that Martha Stewart was my judge. In 2018, I was on Chopped, and she did one season where she was a guest, and she walked out on my Chopped, and I was like, okay. I was really hoping Snoop Dogg would walk out, but didn't happen in 2018. Didn't happen on Yes Chef. Maybe in the future. But she remembered me. So as soon as she walked out and saw me, she pointed at me and said Chopped. And that blew my mind. And it took a lot of stress off of the fact it was Martha Stewart, which came back later because it was 10 episodes. It was a long time together and still just as stressful because she is a different level of OCD. She is Martha Stewart, like perfection. She knows what she likes. She knows what she doesn't like. I mean, even if Jose disagreed with her, she was like, you're wrong. But we kind of connected, and I don't know if it's the career-driven woman in me, the mother, the really focused on myself, that she I feel like we got along. Like we kind of connected. Like we would make little like glances or laugh at little things kind of off the camera, and it just put me at ease. But I will say my brownie, I was mortified by my brownie. I was horrible. From the start of that episode to the end of that episode, I was tight and fearful, and I was very happy the way that they edited it, so it didn't make me look like I failed as badly as I felt. Super embarrassing because like I do have a hashtag not a baker because I was a butcher and I'm a savory chef, and baking is such a chemistry, pastry is. So that was a major fear for me. But other than that, Martha was wonderful. Like she had a lot of very encouraging words. She really talked about the business idea of it and how we need to we are business people, not just chefs. We create a lot of hype. We have to push our ideas. We have there's so much we do a lot of finance and numbers and figuring out and timing. It's all organizational. And she was really great on explaining that and explaining how to separate emotion from the food, even though emotion has to go into the food. So I loved her. I absolutely do. She's a fantastic, amazing woman.
Oh, I'm so glad you got the Martha icon experience. So she said about you, which I thought was such a beautiful compliment at the end. It actually brought a little tear to my eye. She said, and I'm quoting, she said, "I am so impressed with your friendliness, and you're just a nice person." And to be a nice person under that circumstance, that type of pressure cooker, is really difficult. And it made me think of your leadership style, right? Like, you're talented, you're strong, but there's a lot of bad days that we have in the hospitality industry or in the kitchen as a leader. So you have to be tough, but you also have to be nice. And it's not easy. And I think you have such an essence about it. It's such an essence of who you are. So what's your philosophy from a leadership standpoint on how to manage that balance of being strong and assertive, but also being friendly and kind?
I think they go hand in hand. Um, when I was younger, assertive was, as a female, being assertive, you're labeled differently. Like a man, if they're assertive, they're just being strong and they know what they want. A woman being assertive in the same way is looked at as, you know, not the best. They're like, she's mean, she's got this, she's to that. Um, and when I was younger, it really affected me. Like I was just like, I'm just trying to do the same job my counterparts are doing. But I think what it really opened my eyes to is like, you can be assertive, but you can still be kind and you can still have thoughtfulness and you can still understand your coworkers or your employees to a level that doesn't feel overbearing or mean or singled out in any way. So there's a lot of, the show really taught me like I need to think a lot more before I act. And underneath me at this hotel is 100 and something employees, just in culinary or food and beverage. And every one of them is different. You have people who are almost twice my age to people who are half my age. And you have to, and each one is different in the way that they've grown up through this career. And not only are you dealing with the people who cook the food, you're dealing with the people who serve the food or are meeting planners or are, at a hotel, you have the front desk agent to the pool keeper. You're all working together. So there's a lot of just trying to figure out how to look at our team as not just our little bubble, but our entire community bubble of the hotel. And I find it really important to listen and to act in a proper way without just like jumping to conclusions and giving everybody their voice.
I love that. And I think that it shows a lot about your leadership. How are you coaching that and younger people on your team, whether it's directly on your team or just the influence you have with the people around you? How are you coaching that? If you see somebody misstepping, how are you right stepping them?
It's a lot of like reminding of the ways that we want to be treated to make sure we're doing it the same way on the other side. Same with like respect for our product and the food that we're doing. It's money. So if we, carelessly forget something and burn it or leave it out where it spoils, it's money that we're throwing away. And on the business side of that, you don't want to just throw away money. That's terrible. And on the personal side of that, you also don't want to berate the person for maybe making a mistake. So it's a lot of, I choose to use personal lessons or life experiences to be able to get my point across because I've probably done everything wrong and done a lot of things right. And I like to point out that I'm no better than anyone else. I'm just very focused on what I do and pushed myself to get to where I am. And I ask my like youngest cooks, what do you want to learn? What can I give you? I've done a lot. How can I help you with your next step? What is it that's your next step? What's your goals? And I think for a lot of my younger employees, they're not used to maybe the executive chef of the hotel who might be like 4 bosses above them, actually wanting to know how they're going to grow and what they want to be and giving them opportunity.
Beautiful.
So speaking of growth and learning, what were 3 things you learned about yourself going through that experience on the show?
I learned that I am a self-deprecator, that I don't believe in myself and I will put myself down as much more than I think anybody else ever would. I learned that I can separate myself out from drama and focus on myself, because being on TV, people are very into what they're like, how they look. For me, it was more, I am representing the Omni as a whole, and I'm representing all the employees who have ever looked up to me as a mentor, and I want to be me. I want to be true to me, which I guess I never really thought about until that experience. And the last bit that I learned was to believe in myself and to know if I really say I can do something, I'm going to do it.
Okay, because I was going to follow up because you said you learned that you don't believe in yourself. So I was going to say, well, how did that
Oh, I
work out?
changed that. Well, I always like, my husband said I was so stubborn, and I know I'm stubborn, but a lot of it is because I truly didn't think that I could do the things that I do, or that what I was saying was right. Sometimes it would be, double guessing, saying something and just being like, am I wrong? Is that the wrong choice? But I never really noticed that before until I was like sitting there and really talking about myself or thinking about myself, that I'm like, I'm mean to myself. I've never been a very positive, Emily can do it person. And the show really was like, every morning I would wake up and be like, okay, you're going to take this, you're going to win. And I like, even if I didn't believe it, I was like, no, you're going to say this, and you're going to like say it 100 times and walk out of your room and walk onto set. And that's what's going to happen. And it was the weirdest feeling for me to do that, because my whole life I've never done that.
Interesting. Now, why is it that the favorite part of your job is watching the younger chefs grow?
Because I'm a mom. When I never thought I was going to become a mom till I met my husband. I never thought I was going to get married till I met my husband. I mean, the world changes when you meet your right person.
Yep.
And I mean, I look at like before I had children, I look at how I was, and I had kids when I was a little bit later in life. I was in my 30s, and I just looked at like the younger people in the kitchen. I'm like, they're just children. Like, you have to be told like mistakes are okay. That's how we learn. And I tell my team that all the time. Mistakes happen. It's literally how we get better is you make a mistake and you do it differently the next time. Maybe you do something and it's not the same mistake, but you learn how to just get better every time. So I do look at my younger cooks as like, you guys are like kids. You're learning. You're trying to grow. So if I treat them not like children, I don't like try to like baby them, but I do try to be more understanding and kind of like give them the idea that like knowledge is power. And if I'm able to help them along with that, then that's how it should be. And my kids are fiercely independent. So I feel like they're very similar.
Now, I know you don't have like a favorite chef, but is there one example of just a chef that maybe you helped and their growth just really inspired you?
Oh, I mean, I will say that there's a chef in Las Vegas. Her name is Gina Marinelli. And we were both line cooks at the same time. And she exploded and became an executive. She was running a restaurant in the Cosmo. And now she has her own restaurants. And later in my career in Vegas, I became the task force corporate chef for the same group. And her and I working together, where I was able to be like, here's seasonality. Here's how you learn about seasonality. Here's how we learn about these flavors. And the fact that she actually, even though we were the same, like we're the same age, we have a lot of the same background. The fact I was able to, she said her food got better working with me after we were both in it. And that just, it changed so much for me to think, wow, I can really influence people who've been doing it just as long as I have, and get them to feel like they're better. And I mean, she was nominated for James Beard last year. I mean, she was just killing it. And I'm so proud to know that I had any little bit of that.
Interesting. So we got to come back to the Vegas questions because,
Yes.
Vegas and food, like I love the food here. It's shockingly is one of my favorite things. Based on what you know now, and then I'll turn it back over to you, Manny. If there are 3 restaurants that I must visit while I'm here making residence in Vegas, where must I go?
You must go to, well, it just closed, but they just opened a new one. It was EDO, but now they just open, oh my God, I'm going to forget his name, Amador, which is with the same people who are Anima in the Gramercy.
Okay.
He's incredible. His food inspires me. Oscar Amador, uh, salt of the earth man. His food shows it, and it's mind blowing. It's so good. Um, Next to that, I would say go to La Strega with Gina Marinelli. Her pastas are some of the best. They're all homemade, house made, every day. Everything's from scratch. It's the tiniest kitchen, putting out some of the biggest flavors. And then I would say go to Wino, which is
Oh.
which is a wine bar. But Sean McLean, it's his wine bar, partnered with some other people. And Sean McLean was who I worked for 10 years when I was at Aria. I opened Sage with him. And Sean McLean and Richard Camarota, who are together in Wino, their food changed my whole career. So I would definitely say just like they have like their tartars, their oysters, their foie gras, just the best. And you get a great glass of wine.
Mm. Love it. Got it. Add it to my list. Back to
So if
you,
you're at
Maddie.
Durango, it's right across the street.
I know. I've been there once already, so I'm gonna go back now that you told me. So yes.
Yeah, the food is incredible. It's all about the wine there, but the food is incredible.
Good to know. Yeah.
I want to go to Wino. I've never even heard of it. I'm going next time.
Next
Put it
time,
on
I'll
the
take you
list.
there.
Let's go. And we'll have to switch from pancakes to wine. That's a real left turn
I'm
for
a
us.
pancake lover, and I love my pancakes. So just,
Oh,
for the record. But go ahead, Mandy.
Monty loves his pancakes. It's a stack of pancakes. So I want to go back to you had mentioned you're stubborn. You were stubborn, or it's something that you've been working on. I want to talk about being stubborn. I'm sure you can guess I'm a little stubborn too, and I totally relate to what you said about you could say the exact same thing as a woman leader that a man could say, and you were labeled bossy or petulant or this or that. I've gotten all the same names, so I totally understand this. I sometimes look at that as a superpower, right? So I think your stubbornness could be a superpower. Like you're going to draw a line in the sand and you have conviction about something. But then sometimes our stubbornness, and I'm saying this for both of us, right? It can get in our way of our own progress. So, like, what is your relationship with stubbornness today versus where it was like, last year?
so I like you were use the word conviction. So Jose Andreas and Martha both were like stubbornness is not the biggest weakness. It
Mhm.
is where you have conviction, and sometimes you have to be stubborn because you don't want to change because you know the right way. What I've learned is I need to pick my battles. Not everything has to be the way that I think it is or it should be, and to really find the ones that you truly believe in and stick to those. But the rest can be maybe manipulated a little bit to still kind of have your end game or your goals, but include others. Be able to collaborate to get that idea. Maybe just a couple extra branches. And to like kind of like ease off a little bit and not be so hard on it is where people start to see stubbornness as just being a good opinion or the conviction and really understanding what they're talking about.
It's such a fine line of like, I'm not giving in versus like, no, truly, this is the right way to do it. Like
Yeah.
it's such a fine line. I want to talk about something you had brought up earlier in the show. You said you took 3 years off to be a mom. And this is so normal, not just in the hospitality industry. This is in all industries. I don't think as women professionals, we talk about it enough. The choice to take the time off, the choice to come back. Can you roll through that a little bit with us? Like with the choice to leave, the choice to come back, and a little bit in between.
Well, it was really hard. So my husband's a chef as well, and we both were kind of rising in our career paths. So I had been with my restaurant, which was with Sean McLean for 10 years or close to it. And he had just kind of started his rise. And at that point, like my son was probably close to 2 and my daughter was like half a year old. And the restaurant I was in needed more from me, and I was already giving too much. And we had like a live-in nanny and we had a babysitter, and it was just like we didn't have children for someone else to raise them. I really like I was a very latchkey kid, child of the 80s. My parents separated, and just very free, but also you know, like I do a lot, like I'm a much different parent to my children than my parents were to me. Um, and I was nervous about it because I really didn't want my kids to not have a mom who was very involved. Like that was, once I realized I was going to have kids, that was so important to me. Um, so I was like, there was like demand for my schedule, and I was like, I just can't do it. And I was just like, I'm gonna have to leave the kitchen because I had always worked 12 to 14-hour days. I didn't know less. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know work-life balance either. Because since we were both chefs, our lives were always working, and that was okay because we didn't have children. So when I left, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I kind of did it abruptly where I just I kind of got into a little bit of a tiff with one of my favorite people, and I was like, okay, I gotta go. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And I also didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I mean, I'm not the type of I can't sit. I don't know what relax is. Like I'm not a massage person. When they tell you to relax, like I get tenser. So it kind of freaked me out to stop doing the thing I had been doing for 10 plus years. But I was like, there's other things to do, and let's see what they are and see if I can succeed that way and be happy. With the focus on being home and present for my family and figuring out, like, as a young mom and like young children, you have no idea what's going on. Nobody's ready for that. Like when you first have a baby, you're like, and here's a baby. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I'm supposed to like keep this thing alive. Like, how do I do that? Yeah.
And how do I not focus on it all the time?
Right.
So it was hard. And I definitely can say, like, I enjoyed the things that I went into. I helped with a urban farm that was started in Vegas that ended up not working out. I went into wholesale for imports. So I was able to work with chefs, but on the other side of it, like selling foie gras and cheese and charcuteries and imported goods. And it was great, but it was like almost heartbreaking to walk into a kitchen and show a piece of product and be like, you could do this with it. And here's how much it will cost you. And here's how you could use it to help it work for you. And it would like almost break my heart that I wasn't the person buying the product. So it's tough. Like, I mean, moms don't have it easy, or dads. There's a lot of dads that take that change. My husband actually was like, I would have rather been that stay-at-home dad. I was like, well, you could have raised your hand.
Right.
But it was a hard decision. I mean, I don't think my mother was a judge, and so she like had me, was home for a minute and then went right back to work. But my grandmother kind of took over. Much different situation for me than her. So it was one of those, what's right for me? Because if I'm not happy, nobody in this family was happy. Like, I was in the wrong job, doing the wrong thing. And my husband was just like, you are not you. You need to find something that makes you happy. And luckily a restaurant opening fell into my lap during COVID, and they were like, you'll be in your bubble and you will work the hours you need to work if you help us open this restaurant. And I was like, I could do that. And it got me right back to where I needed to be.
I love that. The universe also delivers it, right? Like, you were pushed to whatever conversation that was to have you walk away the one day, right? And then it helps you reevaluate everything and take the time that you need to redirect whatever you have to redirect. What advice do you have for a parent who might be noodling this? It's noodling like, do I want to stay home for a little bit? Do I want to recalibrate? Like, this isn't forever. This is just temporary. Like, what advice do you have for anybody out there thinking about that right now?
I think the biggest fear is when you leave a career that you're kind of set into, and that you're going to go and take care of your family or do something that you really want to do that maybe your career won't support. You don't lose ground. Like, that was what I thought. I thought I got so far behind because my peers had excelled in those 3 years or 4 years. And that's what weighed on me the most, is I was like, I'll never be good enough. You don't lose it. You just take a break from it. And you can always go back to it. Like, there's nothing saying you can't. And it might be almost like little steps to get back to where you left, but it's never going to go away. There's so much opportunity in the world to be able to do what you want to do. You just have to, sometimes you just need that mental break for yourself. And it's important, because if we burn ourselves out, then you don't know where else that can go.
And nobody passed you by. It's you versus you, right? Like, nobody, skated past you. You come back and you're like, okay, I'll just learn a little bit about AI today. Okay, now I'm back up to speed, right? It's just
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like there's nobody else on your timeline. Nobody takes your opportunities from you. They're your opportunities. You have
Yeah.
to look for them.
That's interesting
Yeah.
perspective. Speaking of AI, we have a question from the chat. Lori Kime, hello, thank you for tuning in. She says, how do you use or would like to use AI in your work life?
Oh,
That's the first question.
good transition there.
I love
Huh?
that.
I've done this before.
I'm a fan of Chat GPT. I really
Okay.
am. Which is AI, and it's all compiled by different people's thoughts, anyways. I love to be like, I have a song that I really love, and I want it to tie together to this food. How does that work? And because I have no idea, but so much knowledge has gone into ChatGPT because it's pulling from everything that they can be like, the Beatles, Blackbird can be into this dish because of this riff. And it's like, huh. And then you can kind of like work it through. So I enjoy that. I think it's fun. I think AI is interesting. I don't want it to take our jobs, but at the same time, it does make things easier.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
speaking
Well,
of
it won't
taking
take
your
your job. It
yeah,
won't take
speaking
your
of
job.
taking your job, what do you predict the restaurant industry will look like in the next 10 to 15 years?
I mean, I don't see it being a lot different than where it is now. I know people are really worried about robots and everything taking away the like fast food jobs or the pizza jobs, but it's kind of what evolution is on culinary. You look at the way that even like Thomas Keller has a book called Sous Vide, which makes an environment without bacteria to be able to slow cook in, and it's like, but before we used to slow cook in a glass jar, or we would do it in a braising dish. So it's just the evolution of food. I think that with how big culinary can be and where we are, I think it's still going to be the same. You're still going to see high end food. You're going to see fast food. But I think I'm hoping that the future of the restaurants is more of the naturalistic, where we get away from preservatives, colorants, things that like prolong the food, because those are the things that are the worst for us. So I'm hoping that we go back to eating things a little bit cleaner.
Got it. Okay.
That's
Now we
Amani,
come.
before you flip the script, I have one more question really quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Emily, I want to ask you, this is just for the meeting planners that are listening or watching. For you as a chef, as you're building banquet menus for 1,000, 10 people, however many people it is, what are a couple things you wish meeting planners would do differently with the culinary side of their events?
I think meeting planning it's crazy. Meeting planners have so much going on all the time. My favorite thing about meeting planners is when they come in with a vision and they're like, here's how this day looks, here's how this day looks, here's how this day looks. My biggest issue with some meeting planners is food is secondary to their events. And so then you end up with menus that are very, very similar. And it's where we hear the negativity on the food, where I had this dish yesterday, but even though it's a different menu, they're very similar. Mm-hmm. So I love it when a meeting planner comes in and says, today is Mediterranean Day. And this one, we want to feature fresh flowers. How can we make this happen? And it might not be custom menus, but at least that way we're able to guide it in a way that's really interesting for their clients and still budget affordable and everything, because it's off our menus, but we can be able to design them a little better when there's a strict vision of how they want it to look.
Yeah. And I love that you say that, because I think sometimes meeting planners will be like, oh, if we bring a vision to the chef, that's going to cost us extra money. And yeah, it might cost us extra money, but I think we as a collective need to not be afraid of just bringing the vision to the chef, because we might be surprised. It might be the same or just a little bit more, or it might be less, but like, bring the vision. It just makes the relationship that much better too. I appreciate
it really does.
Being open to that.
We have we had a group recently was like, this one is going to be these colors with this flower, and here's how I want it to look. And the whole day is based on this. And it was like, okay, we can totally work with that, especially the way that we very much like to make things visually appealing. So it just helps us tie it together, which we eat with our eyes first. And it's the same when you walk into a room. You're going to take that whole room in. And when the food ties to it, it just makes it feel like it was even that extra step for the event planners.
Love that.
Interesting. Now we have come to the time where we flip the script. So just as Mandy mentioned, we let you ask both myself and Mandy any question you like. So nothing's off limits. So who do you want to ask the question to first, and what is said question?
Huh. I love it. Let's start with Mandy. And my question is, through like being a female and being where you are, how did you, there's always going to be bumps in the road where we feel like we are doing everything right and we're moving in the right direction, and then something just kind of hits you and you feel like you dropped 20 feet. How do you bounce back from that? How do you just go, nope, that's not what I'm doing, this is exactly my goal, this was just a bump in the road? How do you get past that mentally?
I love this question. No one's asked this question yet. In over 200 episodes, nobody's asked this question yet. So thank you. This happens a lot. I hit a lot of bumps in the road all the time. And I think a younger Mandy would be really stifled by that. Like I'd be really stifled and down in the dumps about it. And I think the older I get, I just remind myself of like, this is just temporary. This is not going to last forever. There's a lesson in here. I'm going to get some feedback, and that feedback is a gift, even though it may be very painful to hear. And I'm going to grow from it. It's always going to be a growing moment. But I think the part about knowing and truly believing that this is just temporary, this is not going to last forever, is what really grounds me to see the light and to work towards the light.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then my next question, Amani, how did
Yeah.
you end up being in Vegas doing the DJ thing? Just because
Yeah.
Vegas holds such a love in my heart. So
Well, I wanted to go to a city where it was good for being a DJ and good for being a speaker. And I did research on a bunch of different cities, and this one made sense because I could still travel back and forth and still teach at Fullerton. And so it just happened. I had come to Vegas frequently to travel for work or for pleasure. So like I've been here for like 2 years now, almost exactly to the day. And so that's just kind of, it kind of made sense, and that's how it happened. And here we are a couple years later.
that's amazing. Like when I got to Vegas, I was like, I'm only going to be here 2 years,
Yeah.
but I was there 20. So
Wow.
it's one of those cities that does grow on
Yeah.
you. But I always wonder how other people get there.
Yeah. How long did it take for you to feel at home when you were in Vegas?
Honestly, I left Vegas. So I was at the Ritz Carlton when there was a Ritz Carlton out like Las Vegas. And my mentor there was opening a restaurant in San Francisco, and I followed him. And I mean, I'm Banana Slug. I'm UC Santa Cruz. Bay Area was like second home to me. But in culinary and like how expensive it got in those like 4 years, I was just like, okay, I don't want to do this. I had a great life in Vegas. And when I moved back to Vegas after 1 year, I was like, I'm home. And it felt like
Hmm.
home. Like it was that move back that was like, yeah, this is where I should be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it was what really solidified the city to be a community to me was, as horrible as it was the Harvest Festival shooting. And it was the year that the
Mm.
Golden Knights actually formed a team. The city, for the shooting and everything that happened, with the team behind it, with the culinary scene and the food and beverage scene and how much they came together, changed everything for community in Vegas to me.
Interesting.
Because we were all very separate. And then that happened, and we suddenly, the entire city came together, and it showed that Vegas wasn't just a transient city. It was where people lived, and it's where people had families, and we cared about each other. And I don't think a lot of the world understands that. Vegas
Hmm.
isn't just gambling. It is a city of people and
Yeah.
families and communities and new cultures that are growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we went back to where you were at UC Santa Cruz on graduation day and gave you advice, gave younger Emily advice based on everything you learned so far? What advice would you give your younger self?
Um, you are going to find the person that you should be. I don't feel like I became myself till I became a chef. And I was so just lost that it takes time for you to finally be who you are. And, before you're 21 doesn't make you who you are. Not everybody is lucky like that. So time really does is the most wonderful thing that we have.
Love it. Mandy, you were going to ask something before I had my favorite question come in there.
Yeah, I had like 4 questions pop up in my head. I was like, oh, what about that? What about that? What about that? I want to talk about your husband for a second because you're both chefs. And I have to tell you, Emily, I tried to do a project with my husband 15 years ago. It was a disaster. We tried to work together. I will never do that ever again. I love my husband. He's my favorite person in the world, but we just aren't compatible in that regard. So when your husband came on that last episode of the show, I was like, oh no, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? How's this going to? And it ended up being awesome. But what is that like having a partner who has the same job? Like obviously you have a lot in common, but what works? What doesn't work? Like how does that? And then I have another follow-up question to that.
Well, we met in the kitchen and we moved to San Francisco, opening the same restaurant. And when we were in San Francisco, I was actually a chef and he was a cook. And at that point, we were like, we could never work together because if we were mad at each other at work, we were mad at each other at home. Mm-hmm. And that didn't work. And we agreed we would not do that again. And that was even before we were like officially dating. We were just like friends. And we were like, we never want to be in this situation again because one of us is always going to we're never going to be equals ever, is what we thought. The best thing about him and I is like, we both grew our careers separately, but together, both following the fine dining for a long time, going after Michelin accolades, trying to work and grow as much as possible before trying to grow in our rankings. Now, and then like you look at what we do at home and it's like, if we're having a holiday or a birthday party, it's over the top extravagant with food because we both are, how are we menu planning? Our goal in the future is, I'm sorry if you can hear this noise. There's some kind of weird, construction happening suddenly.
You're a lady in the kitchen. It's like there's going to be noise. Yeah, it's fine.
But he and I eventually, like, our goal is to open a restaurant together. Like once our kids are old enough to not need us all the time, we want to open something because we have our own flavor profile and we have our way of cooking that we want to share with people, other than in our house. So I think in the future it'll be fine. He is definitely the yin to my yang. He is one of the best chefs out there because he's taught me the kindness, the thoughtfulness, the patience, where I am very quick on my responses. We're just the very opposite of each other. So I could see us working together in the future, just whenever that ends up being.
I love that. Okay, what's something that he makes that you love and something that you make that he loves? And it doesn't have to be for the masses. It just might be something the two of you share together.
He makes the best enchiladas, period.
Green or salt, verde or roja?
Both. He makes his sauce from scratch. He takes his time. He's from Arizona, so Southwestern cooking is like his jam. Nice. Best ever. Like I crave them. He makes them. They don't last. They're just,
that's great.
The thing that I make that he probably loves is either, I would say, my latkes for Hanukkah, or I make a Sunday sauce, like an Italian Sunday sauce that's become our tradition for Christmas now. And yep, those are his requests that I make.
Oh, I love that. Okay, Omni La Costa menu. What's a secret menu item that like not many people know about that you're like, you have to get this? And it could be in the restaurants or banquet menu, wherever, whatever all the things you oversee.
Off the banquet menu, there is a Cubano chimichanga type appetizer that we make. Ooh. That anytime it's around the banquet kitchen, I'm like, I make myself almost sick because it's just so good. It's all made from scratch and they just do such a great job with the whole idea. And it's so random. It's such a random dish out of this kitchen and I love it. We are working on some secret items right now. We were just talking about like a French onion burger because we're adding a French onion soup to our view menu. And I'm like, we should do a French onion burger where you like dip it in and it's just gooey and oniony. And then I absolutely love the steak frites at Traza. It's got a red chimichurri sauce on it, which is like super fun and playful. And they've put it onto a baguette for me before. And it's like a chimichurri skirt steak sandwich. And it's so good. It's delicious.
Gosh, that sounds all I feel like I've been to that hotel a bazillion times. I have never had any of those. I've got 3 new items to try. I love that. Last
Absolutely.
question. You've spent an hour with us. This is a lot of time, we know, in a busy, busy schedule, and we are so thankful for that. How can we support you personally? How can we lift you up? What can we do to continue to celebrate you even after the show?
I think, I mean, for Omni, we're about to get to the holidays. We have these chef and friend dinners that myself and my CDC over at View, we host. And they're online, and it's a small, intimate dinner that we curate ourselves. So the next one is actually coming up in a couple weeks, and we are partnering. So it's Chef and Friends. And this time, our friend is Macallan Scotch. So we are
What?
partnering with Macallan to do a Chef and Friends. So Macallan actually has a mac and cheese dinner or like tasting where they pair their Macallans to cheeses. And we took
Wow.
the same concept idea of the flavor profiles and created an entire menu off of it. And we'll have Macallan's here pouring and explaining what Macallan's is and why it's so special. And we're using 4 bottles that like I had never actually heard of. That are super fun, and they're going to be able to order from them. So just supporting our chef curated events would be awesome. So following Omni and finding out what we're doing, following me and seeing wherever I pop up and what I'm doing is probably the best way to support us.
Okay, love a chef and friends dinner at Omni La Costa. And Amani, I think let's pop that into the show notes too, so we can get a little SEO on that. That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. And I know if you're watching, you probably see the scrolling ticker of Chef Brubes. But if you're listening and you're driving, you're at your kid pickup or kid drop off, follow her on Instagram. It's at Chef BRUBS, and it's a great follow. I just started following you a month ago, and I feel like I've learned a lot about the culinary scene I didn't know. So yeah, give her a follow for sure.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, it's fun. I love showing what we're doing.
well,
Yeah.
keep showing what you're doing. Thank you for spending some time with us, talking to us about your journey, also about the appearance with Martha Stewart and others on Yes Chef. And with that, we just want to say thank you very much. I can't wait to come to the Omni La Costa and visit you myself once I'm down in San Diego. And we'll put you back in the green room. And just thanks again for being an amazing guest.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. This was a pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so
Round
much
of
for being
applause.
here. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you
Yes,
soon.
yes. Round of
Thank
applause
you.
here. Okay, Mandy, we have another great episode done. Next week, it's to be determined. We're going to figure out who our guests will be next week. So, with that being in mind, please
Freestyle,
make
freestyle. We should let
please,
people know. We had a last minute cancel. We did have a guest book, but
yes,
we had a last minute cancel. So
yes,
if you know of a great leader we should interview, send me a text, send Amani a
yes,
message
yes,
on Instagram. We're looking for a guest. That
yes.
happens. That happens. People get busy. It's okay.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
So make sure to rate, review the podcast or the live stream on the platform you're watching on. Tell a friend, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on LinkedIn. Thanks again to our guest today, Chef Emily Brubaker. And with that, we will see everyone next week, 1 p.m. on the West, 4 p.m. on the East. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for being here.